Over the years, we've seen many crazy bowl matchups. It's bound to happen with a 40-plus game slate. Nearly all of those matchups were non-conference games though, except for national championships and the 2015 Arizona Bowl, which I can make a whole video on by itself. This is why what the Western Athletic Conference, or the WAC for short, thought about doing in 2001 is so bizarre you may not believe it when I tell you. Before I start, I ask that you like this video and subscribe to the channel. We got podcasts, interviews, and mini documentaries just like this. Over 83% of our watch time comes from non-subscribers, so why don't you stay a while and subscribe? Now, back to the story. To understand this situation, we have to understand the college football postseason in 2001. There were only 25 bowl games, and most bowl spots belonged to the Power 5 and Big East. Remember, the Big East was a power conference before the Power 5 became a thing in 2014. This left a lot of non-power conferences like the WAC out of luck come bowl season. For instance, Miami of Ohio, the MAC, went 10-1 in 1998 but did not make a bowl game. The WAC, which had 10 schools, had only 2 bowl games before the 2001 season, the Silicon Valley Football Classic in San Jose and the Humanitarian Bowl in Boise. The WAC had lost its tie into the Mobile, Alabama Bowl after the 2000 season and had added Louisiana Tech and Boise State to the conference before 2001. The WAC likely would not have enough bowl games for all of its eligible teams. Fast forward to late in the 2001 season, and the WAC's worst nightmares came true. Louisiana Tech, Rice, Hawaii, Boise State, and Fresno State all were bowl eligible. Heading into the final week of the regular season, 6-4 Louisiana Tech needed a win over 1-9 Tulsa to win the WAC outright and clinch an automatic bowl berth and finish 7-1 WAC play. Fresno State was 10-2 and 5-2 in WAC play. Rice was 8-3 and 5-2 in WAC play with a game against 3-7 SMU left. Boise State was 7-4 and 6-2 in the WAC with one non-conference game left. Hawaii cannot win the league title with a 5-3 conference record and an 8-3 record. Boise State, Rice, and Fresno State hoped to win their final game and for Louisiana Tech to lose for a share of the conference championship and better bowl chances. However, Louisiana Tech beat Tulsa in the final week of the season to win the conference outright to cause the worst scenario for the Humanitarian Bowl, and the WAC for that matter. And here's why. At the time, the WAC did not have a structured order for its bowls to select teams, unlike other conferences. The conference and bowls worked together to make selections. The Silicon Valley Football Classic was almost certainly going to choose nearby Fresno State, which was only 3 hours away from San Jose. The Bulldogs spent 3 weeks ranked in the top 10 and had 2002's eventual number 1 draft pick and 5th place Heisman finisher David Carr at quarterback. This forced the Humanitarian Bowl to choose Louisiana Tech, over 1,800 miles away from Boise, over hometown Boise State, who was 8-4 in the year. Louisiana Tech was guaranteed a bowl as the outright champion of the conference. This left 3 WAC bowl teams without homes: Hawaii, Rice, and Boise State. So, what was the WAC solution? To place WAC teams in bowls against WAC teams, as the Houston Chronicle reported on November 22, 2001. The WAC would have been able to do so since the Silicon Valley Football Classic and Humanitarian Bowl had at-large teams face WAC schools. From a money standpoint, it is genius, as the conference would not have to share any bowl revenue with other conferences. But for the bowls, TV networks, and fans, this was the worst idea and outcome imaginable. Let's start with the bowls themselves. The bowls would miss out on the opportunity to invite a team from one of the 6 power conferences to their bowl game. It's not like there was a shortage of bowl-eligible teams from the power conferences anyway, as there were plenty. Local interest in the bowls would dip if WAC schools that frequently played each other faced off in the Silicon Valley Football Classic or the Humanitarian Bowl. Bringing in a program from the Big 12, ACC, or Big 10 was a huge deal for the cities of San Jose and Boise, and as I said before, the schools in the WAC were familiar with each other, so tourism would take a hit. Fans would likely have been apathetic if WAC schools played against one another in the Humanitarian Bowl or Silicon Valley Football Classic. Out of all the possible matchups that involved conference champion Louisiana Tech and Fresno State, who was destined for the Silicon Valley Classic, only one did not occur during the 2001 season: Hawaii and Louisiana Tech. Bowls are great when they produce rare matchups, but fans of these schools saw these matchups already and would see a lot of them the next year or the year after. Also, travel and fan base size would have doomed these all WAC bowl matchups. Rice had one of the smallest enrollments in Division 1A with around 4,000 undergraduate students and had been passed over for bowls twice for this reason since its last appearance in 1961. And good luck getting Hawaii to go from the tropical climate of the islands to Boise, Idaho, or heck, even San Jose. The WAC could have sent Boise State to play Louisiana Tech in the Humanitarian Bowl, but the charm of the Humanitarian Bowl would have worn off for Boise State fans, as most of the novelty was seeing Boise State play a rare matchup with a different conference, as they did in 2000 when they played UTEP out of the WAC when they were Big West members, and 1999 when they played Louisville out of Conference USA. And I'm sure Louisiana Tech fans would have hated for their first bowl game since 1990 to be against a conference opponent. Boise State playing in the Silicon Valley Classic would have had little appeal either, as Boise State had already played Fresno State in Fresno that year and would travel to San Jose State the next year anyway. Finally, the Bulls would also likely see a decrease in their TV audience if they featured all WAC matchups. In all, Hawaii appeared on national TV twice in 2001, Boise State only appeared once, and Louisiana Tech and Rice did not even appear on national TV that season, and had only 3 appearances on regional TV combined. Fresno State was the only WAC team with TV appeal, appearing on ESPN networks 6 times in 2001. Clemson, who ended up playing Louisiana Tech in the Humanitarian Bowl, appeared on ABC twice and had 3 appearances on ESPN networks, while Michigan State, who went to the Silicon Valley Football Classic, appeared on ABC twice, NBC once, and ESPN networks 4 times. WAC schools simply do not have enough TV appeal to demand the Bulls put them in their at-large spots. Well, I guess I spoiled it, because as I just mentioned, the WAC's plan never materialized, as the Humanitarian Bowl invited 6-5 Clemson from the ACC, and the Silicon Valley Football Classic invited Michigan State, also 6-5, out of the Big Ten. Clemson beat Louisiana Tech in the Humanitarian Bowl by a score of 49-24, while Michigan State beat Fresno State 44-35 in the Silicon Valley Football Classic. Nowadays, 2 teams from the same conference face each other only when there is a shortage of bowl-eligible teams, like there was in 2015 when 2 Mountain West schools played in the Arizona Bowl. Yet, this is still rare and has only happened once since 1980, with the exception of national championship games. The current bowl selection system prevents this from happening anyway. If the WAC did this in 2001, they definitely would have been the only winners. As the WAC showed before the 2001 bowl season, greed can make us do some crazy things. Like and subscribe to the channel and have a blessed and highly favored day, everyone. Goodbye.